What's up? What's up?
Hello.
What's up?
Hey, folks.
That's an inside joke, folks.
Hey, folks. It is episode 29. Sorry, 29.
Yes.
Yeah, 29 of the Messy Truths podcast. We are 29. Yes, definitely 29. This is Mar. I'm coming to you from Montreal.
This is Nisha, coming from Kanakahage and down south.
Azar from New York City, guys.
Woo-hoo!
All right, folks. We are back this week, and we have a really cool top 10 episode. It is another top 10 episode going down today. It is our top 10 TV shows.
In the last 10 years.
No, we're not doing that.
Oh, okay. I did mine's like that. Oh, my God. I feel
It's
like
my
we
fault.
should be like DJ Khaled and another one, because you
And
said
another one.
another top 10.
No,
my
we're
bad.
not. We're not going on the decade limit. Unfortunately, it's just it is what it is. It's fine. Don't worry.
Then we're
about
going to have to do a part 2, because I did within the last 12 years. And now
That's
I feel
fine, that's
like
fine.
That's
I left
okay.
out.
That's all right.
It's
Before
my
we
bad.
get started, I just want to let people who are listening to us, the listeners who are in Quebec, I want to let you know, if you're in Montreal, you're familiar with the newspaper publication called Cult Montreal, Cult MTL, and they actually have the 2022 survey going on right now.
Woo!
So what we would like, please go to cultmtl.com, go to the website, click on the link to participate in that survey, and please vote for Messy Truths podcast as your favorite
Woo!
podcast.
It is your favorite, so just
That is
let
cool.
people know. Shout out to my
Yeah.
girl, Elle Lorraine, who is the editor of that Cult Montreal magazine. We are high school friends,
Oh, cool.
and she is
Hey.
the one whose cat and the finger.
Oh,
Oh, the cat that was
Oh.
penetrated. Okay, I got
the
it.
intimate.
These things are haram, Miranda.
What-
We
what
can't talk
in the
about
butt?
these things tonight.
I am not practicing Ramadan. You are.
Yeah, but you're
Happy
giving
Ramadan
me impure thoughts. Like, what is that?
with the cat.
No, but
Come on, girl.
no, but
There
for
should
real,
be no impure thoughts there at all.
Oh God, that's disgusting. I'm gonna go pray
Yes,
after
it
this.
is.
No, but Ramadan Mubarak to those of us who are practicing. Even if you're not practicing, Ramadan Mubarak to everyone. It's a time of reflection and to count your blessings. So you don't need to be Muslim to be thankful. But you will be hearing clean version podcasts of Nisha during the month of April.
Nisha's suspending the potty mouth for the time being. All right.
Oh,
So how this is going to work is the way that we always do it with all of our top 10 shows. It'll be numbers 10 to 6 and then 5 to 1.
I didn't put them in order either.
That's okay. No problem. If you'd like, I can go first, or since you don't want to be the middle child, because we already agreed that Azar would go last. So if you want to
okay.
go first, you
I
can,
swear,
Nisha.
listeners, I be missing all the messages. They just make these decisions. This is an oligarchy, and I just come on. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'll start with my bottom.
Your 10 numbers 10 to 6.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have them in any order. So I don't
That's
have
okay.
an order, but I want to start with one honorable mention, and I'm sure it's on Mars' list as well. It's Bob Hart's Abby Shola. This is a show that
Oh my God.
Mar actually introduced me to. So just set the scene here, folks. This white middle-aged man from Detroit who sells socks has a heart attack, and he ends up hooking up with this hardcore Nigerian nurse, and their families have to come together. This premise alone is hilarious. So hilarious that my in-laws watch it in Japan with my husband because they speak Hausa, which is one of the languages that are spoken in both Nigeria and in Ghana. But this show really gets a laugh out of me. And it's really hard for me to laugh at shows. I often don't laugh. I'm like, yeah, it's all right. It's all good. But Bob Hart's Abby Shola, I really look forward to it because they deal with some really interesting stereotypes between, Africans and coming to America and the concept of working hard. So shout out, I think Chuck Lorre is one of the writers, right, Mar?
Chuck Lorre and Gina Yashir.
Oh, Gina
Gina, you
That's
share
my girl right there. She is hilarious.
amazing comedian from the UK, a Black woman who's just an amazing writer on
Killing
that
it.
show. Love her.
But keeping in with the Nigerian British theme, my number 10, well, sort of 10, is this show that. So, first of all, let me just say my criteria is if I'll watch the show again willingly, right?
Okay.
Or if I would watch season 2. Some of them didn't make it because I wouldn't watch season 2. But Chewing Gum, this show is a British show called Chewing Gum. And I don't want to mispronounce her name, but homegirl who's in it is also Nigerian, British Nigerian. But the show is about this 20 somewhat old chippy works in a depth virgin who's dating a Christian guy who's gay. And it's all about her adventures about losing her virginity. That show is ridiculously funny, and I would watch it again and again and again. That show's stupid funny. I love all the actors, I love the cast, I love the premise, I love everything about it. So Chewing Gum is one of my top. Anyone else watch Chewing Gum?
I've only seen a few episodes and I have not finished. So this is why I
It's so
couldn't put
funny.
it in my top 10.
I've
Who are you
watched
guys getting
everything.
these shows from?
I absolutely love
It's
Michaela
actually,
Coel. Michaela Coel is the creator and the writer and the producer of I May Destroy You.
yes, which I
Oh,
actually have a
Yeah.
hard time watching because of the graphic
Love
nature.
her.
oh, it's
Love
so
her.
much,
I had a
so
really
much.
hard time watching that, but she is so bloody funny.
And beautiful.
Yeah, of course. It's on CBC Oz, but you can also watch it on those movie channels.
Yeah, you can stream it. Do you get CBC Gemas?
I don't know. No, that's a Canadian channel. Speaking of which, I have to just tell you guys because you mentioned CBC Gem. Jeanette is actually doing her acting debut on a new series that just came out on CBC Gem called Top Line. So when you guys get a chance, you
Oh,
should watch it because she's on
I've seen her posts on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Jeanette Claudette. Very happy
Mm-hmm.
to and she's also doing a lot of the music on there, isn't she?
Well, she's the top line is about and I haven't watched it because I'm not in the Canadian territory, so I don't have access to it, but I will somehow maneuver and get into there and watch it. But it's actually about songwriters, so the whole it's
okay,
kind of like a
cool.
musical, so she definitely
Oh, you
sings on the
shouldn't have
show.
said that. I don't like musicals, but I'll watch it
You'll
for you,
like this one.
Jeanette.
There
Because,
you go.
but I have to say, shout out to Baby Luna too. She just had another baby
Yes,
girl
Jeanette
who's like, she
Claudette
makes
has
some
had a
cute
Aw.
kids with
baby.
August.
Beautiful kids.
Woo!
Beautiful kids.
Some little cutie patooties. So I think the viewers or listeners, actually listeners, will start getting a sense of my personality from my top 10 because my next show is American Horror Story. Woo! I love that series. So my favorite part was the coven. Actually, I like them all. I think they're really freaky and they're violent, and I like them. They're like
I
horror
have
movies.
questions. Okay.
Go
I've
ahead.
never watched this show, and
I
I
love
am a
them.
fan of horror movies. Is it is it true horror based? That's probably not the right question I'm asking. Like, is it
Like
like
true
true
story, true
crime?
crimes. Okay, so yes and no. So one,
Not
it's
really.
not. Well, yes, because the one with Mary DeVoe and the Coven, there's some facts there, like Mary
It,
DeVoe, and
based
there's
on
some,
some
but it's not.
historical truths, if
Yeah,
you
but it's
will.
not based on ancient crimes that happened. What I like about it, it's like a living choose your own adventure book. So I'm aging myself, but choose your own adventures with those books where the character gets to make the decisions and go to pages. So it's similar to that. So every season of American Horror Story is a different season. So same characters, you mix them all up. They're all playing different roles, but the storyline is different. And there's another one, American Crime, which is oh my God, that whole franchise is good.
I really
And
have to try it out. I see it
it
all the
is
time, but
it
I've
can
never
get
watched it.
gruesome the first, but I just love it. Now my husband's like, he thinks I'm a low key, like I have a low key problem, but I really like horror movies. Like I really enjoy them. I kind of
I do
laugh.
too.
But
Mm-hmm.
you'll like American Horror Story. I really like the hotel one, but some of them can get like you have nightmares. You're like, it's the music. It's
You would
very
like it,
freaky.
Oz. You would
Oh,
totally
would
like it.
I?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Okay,
good.
I'm gonna check it out.
Number 8 is Power. I know 50
Oh,
Cent did it,
come on!
and I don't like 50 Cent at all, but I really liked the wife, Tasha,
I like
Notori.
Ah.
Tasha too.
I
I
really
like Tasha
liked her,
too.
and I think it's because of her little Kim days. I don't know, but I did like Power. I have to say I've turned off by these shows now. I don't watch Ghost Part 2 or Part 3 because
Why?
um the truth is I've become too sensitive to any shows that show black on black violence. I can't stomach it anymore. I used to be able to watch it, but now I can't stomach it anymore. I get very upset, I get emotional, so I don't watch it. But I really liked Power. I didn't like Angie. Sorry to the actress. I was like, you got to go. You were doing too much, causing too many problems, so I didn't like you. But I really liked the redemption part, like the part of him actually trying to get better. So I enjoyed it. I mean, it's over now, but I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Number 7, again, showing my true colors, Black Mirror. I love Black Mirror. Oh,
Oh,
I
that
love
was a
that
good
show.
series.
I love it. And the episode there's a few episodes from each season that I really like. So Black Mirror, for those of you who don't know, is like again, it's like American Horror Story. Every episode is different. It's sci-fi in the future, but yo, it makes you think about some things that you're like,
Yes, definitely.
yo,
But it kind of it feels like a new age Twilight Zone to me,
yes, I agree with
doesn't
you,
it?
Oz. Yeah, that's true. Because I like the Twilight Zone too,
Yeah,
actually. But Black Mirror, so season 1, the episode with getting the prime minister to sleep with the pig, that was wild.
that was so
Wild.
wild, so
Say
wild.
what?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that was
it was
wild.
really
But there's other
twisted.
episodes like The History of You. For those of you who want to watch this, The History of You is like in the future, not far future. Your eye records everything you do.
Yo, that
And
was
this is how
wild.
Homeboy caught his wife stepping out on him. That was wild because he clicked his eye and he went back in his
Yeah,
memory. I was like, nah, you could never get caught on this. Another episode that I thought was really wild was the one, I forget what it's called, but you have to work out all the time because if you gain weight, they kick you off the bike and you become like a lower class. I was like, that's mean. But
and there was.
everything, go ahead, Oz.
Sorry, I was going to say that the episode that was really impactful and meaningful, I think, relevant to us today was the social points.
It's called Nosedive.
Oh, that was wild.
Season
Where
3,
people,
episode 4,
there you
Nosedive.
go,
You know why?
and
Because I use it in school.
there you go, and
Mm.
basically, Mar, people were kind of like a credit score. You have a social score,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
it just feels so much like our current day social media with all of our followers and how many followers you have and how these numbers are indicative of your value. And this is a big thing in the music business too, whereas
Yeah.
back in the day, there was artist development and people would sign acts based on talent, and nowadays it's all like, okay, well, what are
The
their numbers
clicks.
like, and that's your value. So
That's the same thing actually in the publishing industry. It's
yeah,
really sad.
it's
Authors
everywhere
are
now.
were just like authors are supposed to be like the last bastion of artists that don't need to like put their face out in the front or be on social media, and that's completely changed. It's like you're
Well,
the author, you
absolutely.
now got to be on, you got to have a Twitter account, you got to be on Instagram, you
Mm-hmm.
got to engage with your followers, and it's just
Yeah.
like, really, this is where the marketing is heading, this is where value of authors is headed now.
Not
Yep.
the good writing. But there's some really good episodes. In season 2, there's the one where you match, but you match for X amount of hours, and then after that the relationship is over. That's wild. Season 4, I remember them because I use them for class because I teach a unit called the Future of Humanity, and that's why I really like Black Mirror. The last episode I watched is the guy who plays the replacement of Captain America, the black guy. What's his name? It's called Striking Vipers. The episode is wild.
Oh,
Basically, it explores sexuality in the virtual realm.
and that
So the
video game shit. Oh
yeah, so the two
yes.
guys are friends and they're totally heterosexual until they fall in love in the game. And they be doing a lot of humping around in the game. So they think maybe they're secretly gay. So they come offline and they kiss each other and they're like, nah, I don't like you. But when they're in the game, they can't help it. So it asks a lot of really good questions. And I really like that. There's also the one with the killer bees that you can program the bees because we lost all the bees on the planet. They died. So we created mechanical bees. But then someone hacked the mechanical bees and we're killing people. So Black Mirror, top list for me.
Should have called Wu-Tang.
That right? Killer bees on this stuff. Number 6 for me is Stranger Things. I love
So
this show.
I got to episode 2 or whatever. Whenever the kid got lost, I was done. I can't
Oh
do
my
missing
gosh.
kids. I mean, you can't do black on
Okay.
black crime. I can't do missing kids. I can't
I
do it.
get it.
I
No,
just
I get
can't do
it.
it. No dying kids, no missing kids. I can't do it.
So Stranger Things appeals. First of all, I love the funky 80 vibe. Love it.
Oh yeah, that part is good.
I love this funky and I love the that age of innocence where things were still kind of scary. Um, and it reminds, and I love the actress who plays 11. And I love the little black boy. He's hilarious. That little black boy is hilarious because in the beginning of the series, he was like, nah, I don't believe there's some other world and other beings. He was like, no, I'm not into it. So I really enjoyed, and the music is very creepy, very 80s creepy, and I like it. So that's my top 5 for now.
It reminded me of Stand By Me
I
a
agree,
lot.
but just the creepy version.
The camaraderie. I mean, Stand By Me was a little creepy too. You know, that was written by Stephen King, but like it was just the camaraderie between these kids and
They're
what they
hilarious.
experienced. But I only got to that and the wall moving and shit,
Well,
and
it
I was
gets
like, I'm
wilder.
out.
And I think Wyona Ryder's in it.
Winona
So she's the
Ryder.
mom,
Yeah.
the
Mm-hmm.
one who stole things and I guess is not a thief anymore, so she can be in
Yeah,
Yeah.
shows now.
she had a little shoplifting period, but that's all in the
Okay.
past.
Okay.
Let's not, you know, she
Perhaps.
paid her dues.
Yes,
She
Yeah,
perhaps
I
she
gave,
just
did.
I never
she did her
understood that.
time.
I
Yo,
never understood
Yeah.
that.
she was dope in Black Swan. Did you ever see that movie, Black Swan? I
I
love
saw
that
Black
movie.
Swan. Yeah, that
That
was
movie
Really?
good.
was amazing.
We do top 10
You need
movies
to
in
see
another
it. That
episode.
movie
Is
was
it
incredible.
scary?
It's cryptic. It's a
It was
little
like
odd.
mental
Psychological
thriller. Yeah.
women's
Yeah.
games. It
Oh,
is crazy, really crazy. All
like
right,
Fatal Attraction crazy?
not that cray cray. It's up
Okay.
there. Okay, let me go through my list. Let me preface this by saying that my list is filthy. It is violent. There are a lot of shows on here that are violent, so I'm just telling you right now. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of shows that
We love
It's a
it.
yeah.
side to you that we don't know, Margot.
Yeah, pretty hardcore. Also, I'm a big fan of adaptations, so a lot of these shows, a few of them actually, are based on novels. So,
Oh, nice.
okay, so top
Let's hear
10, 10 to my first 5, 10 to 6. Number 10, Insecure. Of course, it's
Oh my
Insecure.
gosh, I
See?
forgot.
I said the
It's
same
Insecure.
thing.
It's
No, but that's
Insecure.
because y'all changed up the parameters around me. So
That was my bad. That was all me. Mar, just let me have it. Go ahead.
It's okay. I mean, there's nothing more to say about that show. It's a
love
fabulously
it.
written show, as we know, by
Fabulous.
Issa Rae. And I've watched all the seasons, and you know, it's just there's emotional roller coasters that go on throughout every single season. And some of my favorite episodes happen to be the one with my favorite character, which is Natasha Rothwell, who plays Kelly.
I love
Kelly is the
yo, she's
dopest.
hilarious.
I loved her in the Coachella episode where she was tasered
Yes.
and pissed her pants.
Kelly's
Or the
hilarious.
one where she did her own funeral?
Yes. Yo, I heard that she improvises a lot on that show. I don't know if you knew that, but apparently she's not all the way scripted.
She's
Wow.
such a fabulous actress and a wonderful writer. She was actually the one who wrote the episode where Lawrence and Issa go on their date after they've like reconnected and had their time apart. I found that episode was so cool. And yeah, that one. And also the Cocoa Puffs episode in season 1 where
Oh my
Molly
God.
was landed her drunken self on the doorsteps of that guy that she was dating and who she ended up
Yeah.
breaking up with. He tried to I think he tried out being gay or being in a bisexual
Oh
relationship
yeah.
at one point, and she didn't want to get with him because he was like what, a college dropout, or didn't believe in
Yeah.
going to college.
Yeah.
He was, working for the rental car company. I loved his character. I really did. I thought he was so dope. And she lands on his doorstep drunk as hell, and she goes crazy for cuckoo for
Cuckoo
Cocoa
for Cocoa
Puffs.
Puffs.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, the
Oh,
cereal. That's what made her
and
do
let's
it.
not forget about the animosity between Issa's brother and Molly. That
Oh
was
my
low
god.
key funny because
No, no,
he's
no,
not in
Hilarious.
every
Kelly.
episode. No,
Kelly.
no,
Kelly.
is it Kelly?
Yeah, it's
I thought
Kelly.
it's him and Molly that have the beef too.
I don't think him and
I,
Kelly get along at all. They're always saying nasty
I'm
things to one another,
It's
and
funny
yeah.
though. It's low key. That show, when it ended, I was super sad.
I was
I was
sad too.
Yeah, yeah. End of an era. Lovely
for
show,
sure.
and definitely up there. Okay, so number 9 is The Nick. It is an American medical period drama set in NYC in the year 1900. It is based on it's basically the Knickerbocker Hospital, which has like an incredibly talented staff of surgeons and nurses, and and they're struggling. They're struggling to pay bills. They're struggling to make ends meet, and just trying to deal with treating people when medical advancements were not that great back then.
Mm,
Clive Owen, who is very near and dear to my
love
heart,
him.
he plays Dr. John Thackeray. And I would say the best part of the show, at least in terms of what adds conflict and enhances the story, is the fact that they have Dr. Algernon Edwards, who is a Harvard educated African American doctor who ends up being hired. But you bring that into the mix, and there's a lot of racial tension. There's a lot
Mm,
of you feel it for Dr. Edwards, because he wants to be this brilliant surgeon, but he can't, because he's limited by race, by systemic racism, and so many other things. And you just see how he creatively gets through that, like all Black folks do. Whenever they're
mm-hmm.
oppressed, they find a way. And it's such a great show. There's some really crazy ass stuff in there involving cocaine. It's a great show. It's only 2 seasons long. It was produced or executive produced by Steven Soderbergh. Great, great show. So I highly recommend watching that if you
I
have the
have to
time for it.
say, like Clive Owen, I got something for him too. He plays in a fantastic movie, which again, Future of Humanity, called Children of Men.
Mm-hmm.
That movie
That was a
is
great movie.
dope. It's dope. And I play it, although sometimes the kids look at me and like, Miss, this is over our head. I don't care. Get it. It's a good movie. It's very subtle in its value systems. It's a really good movie. The choices made in that movie, Clive Owen, I'm with you. I got you. I like you
Love
more than
Clive
Liam
Owen.
Neeson.
Loved him in
So
Inside Man, Spike Lee's movie Inside Man. Loved him in
yeah.
Closer. Loved him in Croupier. He's just a fantastic actor.
And
Okay.
he's not hard on the eyes.
Yeah, I haven't seen him lately, but he was looking pretty scrumptious back in the day. Yeah. Okay, number 8 is Peaky Blinders.
Oh
No,
God.
I've heard so much about the
Uh,
show, but I've never watched it.
Neither have
very
I.
violent, very hedonistic. I mean, there's a lot of like pleasure to the point of just personal, damage, self-sabotage in there. It's really, really like you're
You're
on for a
scaring me.
wild ride when you start to watch it. So it's a British drama about the Shelby family. Some of the brothers, well, specifically the brother Thomas Shelby, has returned from the First World War, and they go on to lead one of the most violent and most powerful gangs of Birmingham, England. And these are the descendants, or they're of Irish Romany background, so there's that element to the story.
I like that.
They include members of the Black community in their whole circle too. It's just a really fascinating show that taps into a lot of historical story points in there as well. If you've seen I haven't. Okay, so the last season is on its way. It's not on Netflix yet, but it's on its way. I know people in the UK have already seen it or have started watching it, and it gets to the point where we're leading up to like World War II, and all of like the Nazi themes and everything is going in there.
No.
And just when you think that you have seen evil through the Shelby family, a lot of complicated characters, some flagrant stuff that they do to one another, you ain't seen evil. The devil is in this final season here, which was introduced in the previous season, and I highly recommend you guys check that out. Great show.
Well, another fun fact for you, because you know I'm filled with wonderful random facts. Romanis, a lot of people think they're come from like Egyptian descent, which is ridiculous. They actually come from Indian descent.
India, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a fun fact that all my students in my school should know, because we were talking about that.
They even speak a little bit of the language in the show. There's a lot of that's
Amazing.
included.
But you
For
said it
those
was
of you,
violent. I don't know how much I can. Well, I can't watch
oh,
it
it's
this
hella
time.
violent. There's lots of violence in there. It's
Lots of
crazy.
violence.
Okay, so number 7 on my list is We Are Lady Parts.
Oh, that
Oh,
was a
you
good
mentioned
show.
that.
Good show.
I never saw it, but
There's only been one season so far. It's a sitcom written by Nita Manzoor, and it is about a PhD student named Amina Hussein who feels the pressure to like get married, you know, settle down and do all these things. But she's just a quirky, unique individual, and even her parents recognize that she is a quirky, unique individual that doesn't fit into that whole Muslim girl needs to get married and start a family box, right? She's geeky, she's awkward, and she has absolutely no game when it comes to dating whatsoever. But she tries reluctantly to become part of a band, a band called We Are Lady Parts, and she ends up becoming the lead guitarist. But the cool thing about the show is you've got these amazing characters, this group of girls who've come together, all Muslim, all of different stripes and different backgrounds, who are just trying to find their way, but at the same time, they're all looking for that big break that they want to have in the music industry with their punk rock band. Great show, awesome soundtrack if you're into punk rock. Really, really fun to watch, just really cool. Love that show. And number 6 is on my list is Lovecraft Country.
Oh yes, I forgot. Again, it's all about the decade. You both
again. It's only season 1.
Such a good show, though.
Only one season. It is a horror drama. Lots of sci-fi and mysticism in there as well. It is about Atticus Freeman and his friend Letitia and his uncle George, who go on a road trip through the South, through the Jim Crow South during the 1950s in order to find his missing father, who was played by the late great Michael K. Williams.
Agreed.
Really good show. If you're into horror, fantasy, this is your sort of thing.
And a little bit of history.
A little bit of history, especially the Tulsa massacre episode. Really lovely stuff in there. Excellent writing, and it's based on a novel by Matt Ruff of the same name. So that's
Such a good show.
Great show. Love that show. Jonathan Majors. Woo! That man, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. He plays Atticus Freeman, and he's also, I saw pictures today that he's actually on set for Creed 3. Now listen, Creed, wow. I'm getting sick and tired of seeing these sequels. Like Michael B. Jordan, you need to cool it. But I changed my mind when I saw him on set with Jonathan Majors, who was topless and looked like he had been eating his Wheaties. Anyway, that was a tangent, but your turn, Oz. Over to you.
I fixed it. I stayed within the decade. I fixed it.
Okay. All right.
So I'm within the decade.
Okay.
Mostly, for the biggest part. I want to give a big shout out to Naked and Afraid that didn't make this list, but should have, because that is a
I
great
can't
fucking
with you,
show.
Oz.
Great show. All right, so I'm going to start with number 10. And for me, that's Big Little Lies.
That's a
Um,
good. It was almost made my list.
that was a
That
good
was a
show.
good show.
It was a
Very,
great show.
very good show.
Had me on my toes. Really unexpected twists and plots, and I loved it. Loved it. Number 9, which is so relatable, and I love the fact that it's Canadian, is Working Moms. Love,
Yeah. That's one of the
love the
few
show.
shows that gets me to laugh. I'm like,
I mean, it's
because
funny.
it's so ridiculous.
Yeah,
The CBC is bringing it with that show. That's a pretty good show. I've
Right?
seen several
Such a good show.
episodes. So good. So good. Very funny. Very funny.
So good. And as you guys may or may not know, I went to college for forensic psychology before I got into music business, and I've been fascinated with serial killers. Fascinated, a little too fascinated, like a little obsessed.
We have
I don't
known
ever want
this.
to meet
yes.
one, but really into it. And there's a show on the ID channel, which is also my go-to channel. Like, I'll leave the ID channel running all day if I had time. And it's called Evil Lives Here.
Oh,
I don't know if you guys have seen that show.
Yeah, I watch all those
Okay.
shows.
So you want to talk about the
It's creepy,
music?
though.
The music on that show is crazy creepy. And it's about the people who grew up with these, horrifically, psychotic killers. And like, they just recount the memories and what it's really interesting and super creepy. And I love that show. Love it. Love it. Love that show. But really, the ID channel, Fear Thy Neighbor,
Who Did I Marry? Who the bleep did I marry?
Oh my God, everything.
Yeah,
I mean,
I watch all those.
There are
things
so
too.
many. Sleeping with the Enemy.
Yeah.
Web of Lies. Oh God, there's so much. And you just, the problem watching this is just like, shit, how much of this crime is happening that they can continuously have 24-hour content on this shit? And I don't see the same show twice. Rarely. So it's kind of nuts. Okay, so this one, I was really into this show, but it got weird on a couple of seasons, but I stuck it out. The Affair. Did you guys watch The Affair?
I started watching that, but it got weird, right? Like, I like the actors.
So weird. Yeah.
I watched the first couple of seasons. I did not finish it. So if there's any spoiler alerts, you need to tell
me. I'm not.
It is weird, though. I agree with you, but I do like Joshua Jackson.
Yeah.
So I kind of forgive it, and I like all the cast.
Your crush is married to the guy on that show.
Yes,
I know.
Yes, Jodie Turner-Smith. Yes.
Yes.
They have. There's some pictures with him rubbing up her belly. I was like, okay, Canadian.
Oh yeah, when she was pregnant.
Mm.
Who's the main guy on there? He's Dominic West. Dominic West, who was also in The Wire. I love him. Love him.
It's a very strange little show, though.
It just got a little. It kind of went left at some point, and I was like, I don't know, I can't keep up with this shit. But anyway, but I did. I watched the whole thing, and I think it was on Showtime, and I paid for Showtime just to keep watching, and I was like, is this worth it? But I just had to see it through. And finally on my list, number 6 is Ozark. Do you guys watch Ozark?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay,
Wendy is a gangster, but Wendy scares me.
Yo, Wendy
I don't want a wife like
I don't
Wendy.
even. But I will tell you, I love Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
Love him.
He's made a comeback from Family Ties.
Family Ties. And
this
by the way,
dude has been in the business for a minute.
I just remembered a show. I just remembered a show. I forgot that he produced it. Go and carry on.
The reason why I was even like kind of inspired to put Ozark on there is because Arrested Development was on my original list and it didn't make the cutoff into the decade. But anything Jason Bateman does, I will watch. Like, that's how much of a fan I am of his.
Did you watch The Outsider?
That was a good.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a great show.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
That was a good show. But yeah, that's my 10 through 6 on my top 10.
Wait, that was your first 10 through 6? You sure? You're not listening?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have to go back to mine. So mine Don't judge me, listeners. Well, it's the last. It's number
This is
2.
a safe space, Nisha. There's nothing you haven't shared that isn't crazy already.
I know. But remember, they're not in particular order because
It's
I
okay.
got cut out of the loop. So, number 5 for me, again, reveals my things for all supernatural, all funny, is The Good Place. The Good Place is the show on Netflix, and it's a big hoax about heaven and hell. And it has the guy who was in the show Three Men and a Baby. What's his name? Let me look up the actors.
I don't
But
know
the
any
good
actors'
It's
names, so
not
I can't
Charlie
help you.
Sheen. It's the other guy you're
No,
talking
no,
about, the
no,
father
no.
of the son
Yeah.
there. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
the Good Place
Who was
is about
also in
these.
Pretty in Pink.
Oh,
Fun fact.
Ted Danson. Ted
Oh,
Danson. That's
Ted
his name.
Danson? No, he
Oh,
Yeah,
wasn't
Ted
Ted
in.
Danson.
Danson.
He
He's
wasn't
the
in
main
that.
architect. Yes, he was in Three Men and a Baby. I don't know why I remember
Oh,
this
3 minute.
movie, but I
Okay,
do.
sorry. I'm getting it.
So
My.
You're
Kristen
talking,
Bell is
yeah,
in there. William Jackson, who's hilarious. Danson and Kristen Bell are in the show, and Jamila Jamil, who I really like. So it's a show where they wake up and they've been told that they're in heaven and that they got into heaven for different reasons, but we come to find out that all the people who created the heaven are actually like hell makers, and it's really hell, and they all want them to get to admit. So it's hilarious. It's one of those shows I would watch again. I really, really enjoyed it. It had 4 seasons, and it was right up the alley with my little nerdy religious self because it was so bloody funny. I really like, and I have to shout out to Darcy Candon, who played like Janet, who was like all like you could ask Janet anything and she would try to give it to you. Like she was a robot on the show, but so funny. Number 4, Games of Thrones are going to be up in there because
no.
I love Games of Thrones. I love sci-fi. I love fantasy. I love Harry Potter. I love Lord of the Rings. I love all those shows. So give it to me. I loved Games of Thrones. Games of Thrones is what inspired my engagement ring. So Games of Thrones is with it. And I'm not a Cersei fan or the Lady of Dragons. I really enjoyed the plot of Games of Thrones. And of course it had the religious elements, and I was really like, oh my gosh, what is gonna happen at the end? I was really into it. So I really enjoyed it. I know there have been other shows that are similar, but they don't have the same appeal to me.
It's not the
Although I'm
same.
watching one called Wheel of Time that was really, really good. And it's okay, but it's not no Games of Thrones. So number 3 is an oldie, but again, sci-fi, fantasy, religious, nerdy stuff. Grimm. Do you remember Grimm?
Mm-mm.
So Grimm is based off the fairy tale stories from the Grimm brothers. In
Mhm.
every episode,
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. The
yeah, every
cops.
episode, the
And
cops, yeah, and
yeah,
every
yeah,
episode, it
yeah.
was like Charmed, but the guy version of Charmed. So I
Right.
like Charmed, by the way. So shout out to the old
Like
Charmed.
Charm too. Yeah.
Me too. And there's a new episode, but it hasn't really, like, I haven't gotten into it the way the old Charm is. But
Mhm.
Grimm, every story from, so it's kind of like what you like, Mar, right? Because it's based off a book, and
Mhm.
every character is in every episode, and they're really freaky. So I really liked it. Number 2, listeners, don't judge me. I'm actually afraid to say it, but here goes. Paternity Court.
What is that?
Paternity Court.
I
I knew
love
there was going to be
paternity.
some reality TV in there,
Yeah,
but okay.
I know you both were thinking my top 10 was all reality TV. I don't think but Paternity Court with Judge Lauren Lake. Can I just shout her out?
Oh,
This
I gotta
show,
watch this shit.
yo, listen. Okay, this show. Okay, so let's set the scene. This is a black judge. Okay, and people come to her when they want to prove paternity, and her face, it's like being judged by my mother. That's the part that kills me because she comes on and she says, so hold on a minute, you slept with one guy in the same conception period, but you don't have no doubts. Are you sure now that you have no doubts? And the mother's usually like, no, I have no doubts. And then the guy, yesterday's episode, the guy was like, my father was a Casanova, so we just do what we do. We about that life.
Wow.
She said, were you about that life right in court? It was hilarious. We watch it all the time. It's kind of like my go-to show. I watch it consistently on YouTube. all
You
the
like
time.
that messy shit?
Messy truth, messy life. What can I say? And it's not really a number one, but I couldn't let my list go without a K drama because I love Korean shows. And the one I really like is called Korean Odyssey. Again, same theme, sci-fi, fantasy, myths. And in this one, every character appears human, but they're really a Korean mythology character. And it's like there's the trickster and they fall in love and the little girl's got to determine who they are. And it had 21 episodes and I finished it in about 3 days.
Mm.
So the
Wow.
current one I'm watching, I know the current one I'm watching is Love featuring Marriage and Divorce. It's okay. The one I just finished was 39. That one was just sad as hell. But before I finish my top, I just want to give a shout out to CBC. Y'all be doing some good writing from Kim's
Yeah,
Convenience,
I
Run
agree.
the Burbs, Children Ruin Everything, Working Moms, Porter.
The
When
Porter.
I was young, CBC sucked. Now I really look forward to CBC. Sorry, it's
Yeah.
time to cut my hair. It's bothering me.
CBC content is pretty dope these days.
It's
Yeah.
getting better. Oh my gosh, Run the Burbs is hilarious. It's a really good show. Kim's Convenience, hilarious. Working Moms, I watched this week's episode,
So good.
and every time I watch it, I'm just like, oh God, like Jenny, I don't know what's going on with that character.
So good.
But that's my top five. But no judgment. Watch Paternity Court, folks. Trust me.
No,
I'm
no
about to.
judgment for me. We all have our, our interests. Let me just also say that when I was younger, we didn't have cable growing up. Like we were just too poor to afford that. So we were limited in our TV watching and just took whatever was given to us on the basic channels. And even
Right.
when I was a teenager, it was the same thing. I couldn't afford cable until like much later. So this is why most of my shows are more newer rather than older. So number 5 on my list. Oh, let me also send a shout out to Temptation Island because I did say
Oh,
before that
Oh,
okay, okay.
I didn't really like. I'm not a big fan of like reality TV, but Temptation Island, that was my jam back in the day, I will say. And Oz, please refresh my memory. What was that soap opera that had Timmy and Tabitha? Do you remember?
Oh, passions,
Passions.
passions.
Yes.
Passions.
That also used to be my jam back in the
Passions.
day. Great show.
We used to watch that. I used to
Yeah, who
watch that.
didn't? I love
Yeah.
soap operas.
When I was not in class, I was watching Passions. I should have been in class. So number 5 on my list is Game of Thrones. I'm with you,
Yes.
Nisha. I gotta admit, I got on the bandwagon a little bit late. It was recommended to me by nearly everyone who had a heartbeat, and I refused because
It's
I was
good.
just like, I don't know. I ended up binge watching it, and I was just enamored. It was a great show. Like you, Nisha, I don't really care at all for Daenerys or Cersei. My favorite characters were actually
Oh,
Arya
yeah.
Stark,
She was
Brienne,
dope, yo.
Grey Worm,
Yeah,
and also Lady Olenna, who assassinated Joffrey. She did God's work, let me tell you.
she was a G.
Hella violent show. Just crazy, crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, but Joffrey needed a slap. That was some evil little
Honestly,
boy going on there.
I can only shout out seasons 1 to 7. The final season, man, I was so disappointed. That was just
Really?
garbage. I did not like it, except for the Night King episode. Let me also say
Mm.
the origins of the Night King are trash. I do not know how they could have created a character on something so flimsy like that.
But I have
Anyway.
to say, the red table episode where they all got caught up
Oh
in the
yeah, yeah.
wedding. Ooh,
Yeah. It was
Oz,
a
I
great
think you
show.
could get into that one.
I don't
Great
know. I
show.
watched a couple of episodes in the background and I was like, nah, once I see a dragon, I'm out, yo.
Yo,
That's
but that was
my
the
exit.
dragon was a G though. The
Peace,
dragon was a
guys.
G.
The dragon was all right, but Grey Worm is the ride or die, man. When his boo ended up being killed, I felt for him. I really, really did. Okay, number 4 is actually an Italian show. There are subtitles, so it is completely done in Italian. It is a TV series called My Brilliant Friend, and it's based on the Neapolitan novels by Elena Ferrante. The
Okay.
show is about an author named Elena Greco who learns that her best friend from her childhood has disappeared. Her best friend is named Lila Cerullo. So this sends her into a period of reflection about her youth growing up in Naples, Italy. Again, very violent. This takes place in the 1950s. So yeah, but it's really more about the story behind these two girls' friendships. Women trying to go beyond the boundaries that society put on them at the time, and her friend Leela is this gifted person, the one who's gone missing. She's this gifted person. She also goes by the name Raffaella and so forth. And she's a gifted child. She teaches herself how to read. She teaches her brother how to read, but she
Wow.
eventually cannot go to school because she's a girl and the parents can't afford to send her to school. So her education is robbed. But it doesn't stop her from being a very strong-willed and fiery character. It's there's some parts of this show that are hard to watch, but it's really, really good. Like you want a story about proper storytelling, this is it. There's I believe there were like 4 seasons, 3 or 4. There's another season that's supposed to be coming. But I guess they stopped filming because of COVID, so that's what the delay. That's why there's a delay. But that being said, it's a great show. Highly recommend that. And if you're familiar with Gomorrah, you'll know Naples is not a very pleasant place sometimes, very violent. And but it's interesting to see it in the 1950s, at least from the perspective of this show. Okay, number 3, I May Destroy You. Already mentioned it. Michaela Coel. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Awesome. She plays Arabella, who is a writer who's like found fame on Twitter, and she's like turned into this amazing novelist. She reaches great success with her first novel, and then she gets an advance to finish her second book. She takes a little break from her writing. She goes out one night, and while she's out with friends at at a local bar, she has somebody slip something into her drink, and she's sexually assaulted. So the whole season is about her trying to just cope with what she's gone through, and she's got the help of her friends Terry and Kwame. And there's just so many layers to the show, so many layers to the character, so many layers to the storytelling. It all takes place in London town. So unapologetically British. Just great. Absolutely loved the show. The soundtrack was pretty cool. It was so great to hear a little bit of grime and some other UK music in there. And I highly recommend it. If you liked chewing gum, this is not the same show. It's totally, it is different. It's different. I've only seen a few episodes of Chewing Gum. It's not the same thing at all. But man, what an amazing writer.
Yeah. And be prepared. We should have a trigger warning on that show.
It's heavy,
yes,
heavy.
It's very heavy. A lot of layers to various subjects about sexual assault, race, infidelity in marriage. Oh, there's some really good episodes in the show. So highly recommend that one. And number 2 on my list is Atlanta.
Oh shit! I forgot about Atlanta. I can't wait to watch it, but I refuse to watch it until it's a bunch of them, because then I'm not going to be happy sitting there waiting for next
season.
week.
I saw it and thought of you, Mar.
I started watching it and I have to stop. And I'm even saving the episodes I have recorded on PVR because I'm going to go back and watch it from beginning to end.
Yes.
Yep, I just love that show. I can't tell you how much I absolutely love Donald Glover. I have a strange crush on Lakeith Stanfield. He's a very weird man, but I love him.
Which one is he?
He plays Darius. He's like Paperboy's right-hand man.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. He was the one in the Teddy Perkins episode. Right?
I have to say, I haven't been able to catch on to it. I'm ashamed.
Oh, it's so good.
It's such a great show. Let me just quickly say, my favorite episode is still from season 1. It's episode 7, Ban, or Black American Network. It's the episode where Paperboy, who tweets something about Caitlyn Jenner, gets called to be on the show, and it's just like this
Oh,
totally fictional talk show called Montauk, where he's sitting on a panel with like a transgender activist and a bunch of people, and it's just this really, really funny. And then they bring in a character by the name of Antoine Smalls, who identifies as a 35-year-old white man.
Oh
It
my
was
god.
such a
I've
good
watched this
episode.
episode.
It's
So
so good.
funny.
I absolutely love the show. I also like the episode where Van has to do the drug test. She goes out with her friends the night before, and then she gets hit with a random drug test at the school where she
Mhm.
teaches. And she's doing everything to try to figure out how she can
Hmm.
avoid that. Just a great show. Absolutely love it. Oh, yes. And the Helen episode where they go to the German carnival, Faschnacht.
Oh
This
Yes,
yeah,
is
I
yes,
remember
yes.
this.
It's bilingual, English and German. And just, fun fact, Zazie Beetz, who plays Vanessa in the show, is also half German too. So hence the reason her speaking it so fluently in that episode.
I remember this
And
episode.
yeah, great show. Love that episode too. And my number one, I know the name of the show is just not the greatest, but it's still my number one, and that is Mr. Robot. I absolutely love that show.
You've
Never
told
seen it.
us.
It is a
You,
show about an antisocial programmer who works for a cybersecurity company by day, and he's a vigilante hacker by night.
hmm.
Sounds good.
And he creates this underground group known as F Society, which is basically a bunch of hackers who are, there to take down the big bad guys in the world, the man. And
The
so
man.
you've got it's just a very acute lens on the financial systems. You talked earlier about how Black Mirror is very representative of stuff that we're seeing today develop in our society. Same thing with Mr. Robot. There's mention of cryptocurrency. There's
Mm.
breakdown of banking systems of different banks and so forth. We have BD Wong, who plays the character White Rose. BD Wong was the therapist for a very
On Law
long
and
time on
Order.
Law and Order SVU.
I
And
Yeah.
remember him. I like him.
he's so amazing. He does an amazing job in the show where he plays the woman, right, White Rose, and he's also head of the Dark Army, which is a hacker group, a cyber terrorist group out of China as well. So lots of crazy things going on in this show. It's only 4 seasons. It's over. It's done. Sometimes you don't need any
Mm.
more. It is
Right.
what it is.
Hmm,
And
hmm, hmm.
it's great. Really fantastic show. Shout out to Gloria Rubin, fellow Canadian, who plays Elliot's therapist on the show.
This show
And
got you wilding out. You like
Yeah,
shouting
for
out
real.
people.
it's a great
Seriously.
show. It is such a great show. Really, really cool. So that's my top 5.
All right, guys, I'm gonna run through mine because I have very limited time here. But I want to shout out to The Office. I can't believe nobody mentioned The Office
No, I thought
Yes,
it was
because
The
so.
Office.
The Office is a great show. However, the only reason it's not on my list is that for some reason, every man that I've lived with has played the hell out of this show to the point where I know every episode from the top to the bottom. And one of the things that irks me more than anything in the world is to have TV running in the background. Music all day. TV in the background is enough for me to
Mhm.
want to make me stab myself a million times. So it's kind of given me a sour taste in my mouth because of the whole listening to the theme song way too many times. Anyway, but but I did want to shout out The Office. So my number 5 is Boardwalk Empire.
Mhm.
Such a great show. So what's the actor's name? I love him so much. Do you know who I'm talking
The white
about?
guy?
Yes. Oh, I don't know
I don't remember his
name.
name. We'll look it up. You keep going.
Yes. Love him, and of course,
Michael K. Williams.
And it's just such a good Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi, yeah, that's it.
Yes, and Michael K. Williams, both of them just such amazing characters on that show. And then this one is new to me, but I love it. Before the 90 Days, which is part of the whole 90 Day Fiancé series.
Yeah.
And the reason, thank you, Nisha. And the reason why I love this show is because besides the drama, you really do get to find out and learn about other cultures.
Yeah.
Like you really do have that exposure. And that's the part that I really enjoy just watching this show and finding out how people live in different countries. And I catch my own biases while I'm watching, you know, and I'm like, damn, I didn't know Panama looked like that. Or shit, I didn't know, you know, like it's just, it's kind of, you know, it kind of catches me off guard. Number 3, because I couldn't put Seinfeld on here and because Seinfeld is older, I kept Curb Your Enthusiasm on my list. I love Curb Your Enthusiasm. Larry David is hilarious. Love him to death. Just the ridiculousness of that show. And that's what I need. I need some lighthearted ridiculousness.
He's a funny ass man. He really is.
You guys keep your dragons. I'll take Larry David. Number 2, and this show got a little weird too, but I was still a huge fan. Mad Men. What an amazing show. And it was about, obviously, the advertising industry, especially in New York City, Manhattan. What was it based in the 60s? And I think it was the 60s. I believe it was the 60s. But it was just such a cool show in terms of how they kept really true to the historic elements. Even the gender and race differences were highlighted in that show too. It was it had a lot of layers, and that guy was just a scumbag, you know, with his little wife in the suburbs. I mean, it was amazing, Dawn. And my number 1, thanks for blowing it up for me, Mar, is Temptation Island. Yes, it is my number 1 show. And let me tell you why it's my number 1 show. Temptation Island has resurfaced in the past few years, but I did originally watch it when I lived in Montreal. It was one of the first shows of its kind with the reality TV based on these relationships. And what a weird experiment to throw couples into an island, separate them, and put a ton of other singles. I mean, what the fuck are people thinking? And what are we thinking watching this shit? It's so entertaining. I love it so much. And I love Mark, the guy who's the host, whatever it's Mark Wahlberg, I think it is. It's the other Mark Wahlberg. And I just, the drama and the ridiculousness, again, is just pure entertainment for me. And it has survived, right? So 20 years ago, I was watching it in Montreal. And here it comes with a comeback 20 years later. And I still fucking love that show. So that is it for my top 10, ladies. And I'm blessed to have experienced the stuff that you guys like to watch. I will be watching some of your shows. I will absolutely not be watching others like Game of Thrones and your other sci-fi shit. But I learned a lot on this episode, as I always do. You've enriched me, ladies.
And on that, can we just say shout out and happy birthday to my musical muse. It's Jill Scott's birthday today. And
happy birthday, Jill.
Happy birthday.
And she's
what?
Lovely.
She's 50?
She's 50 today.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay, but don't ask anybody why I know this, like her birthday and stuff. But she is a founder. She did hook me up turn me on to Toby. So I like her. Happy birthday, Jilly. You don't know me, but I know
Happy
you.
birthday, Jilly. Real quick, I want to send a shout out also to Eliminate. That was a great dating reality TV show back in the day. Really good. You need to look that up. We don't have time to talk about it. And also, I highly recommend all the listeners go and check out The Porter. The Porter is a TV show produced with the help of CBC and BET. So for those of you in the US, you can actually watch it on BET this spring. And essentially, it is about the history of the Black porters who basically tried to get a union going
and they
for
call
themselves.
them Georges. They used to call them Georges, a bit of our transatlantic history. And I know the writers of that show. So
amazing. That. And we absolutely love Emil Amin, who is originally from the UK and was in I May Destroy You, who is also an executive producer of The Porter as well. So love it.
So what are your top shows? Yes, let us know your top shows. Give us some recommendations. And keep it messy, y'all.
Thanks for listening, and we'll
peace.
Peace.
Peace.